Siem Reap. Siem Reap is the second largest city of Cambodia, as well as the capital and largest city of Siem Reap province. Siem Reap province is in the northwestern of the Kingdom of Cambodia. Siem Reap has French colonial and Chinese-style architecture in the Old French Quarter and around the Old Market. In Khmer, Bazaar Chak, Bazaar means market. In the city, there are museum, traditional Apsara dance performance, a Cambodian culture village, souvenir and handicraft shops, silk farms, rice paddies in the countryside, fishing village, and the bird sanctuary near Tonle Sap, a cosmopolitan drinking and dining scene. Cambodia's Siem Reap city, home to famous Angkor temples, was crowned the Asian City of Culture for the period 2021 and 2022. At the ninth meeting of the ASEAN Minister responsible for culture and arts, organized on October 22, 2020. Siem Reap today, being a popular tourist destination, has many hotels, resorts, and restaurants. This owes much to its proximity to the Angkor temples, the Cambodia's most popular tourist attraction. In year 2002, Siem Reap City held various events commemorating its 1,200th anniversary. The name Siem Reap can be translated to mean the feet of Siam, and is commonly taken as a reference to an incident in the centuries-old conflict between the Siamese and Khmer kingdoms, although this is probably apocryphal. According to the oral tradition, King Ang Chang, 1516 to 1566, had named the town Siem Reap after he repulsed an army sent to invade Cambodia by the Thai king Mahachakrapat in 1549. Scholars such as Michael Vickery consider this derivation to be simply a modern form etymology, and maintain that while the name Siem Reap and Chang La, the old Chinese name for Cambodia, may perhaps be related, the actual origin of the name is unknown. The traditional tale claims that King Anjang of Cambodia tried to assert greater independence from Siam, which was then struggling internally. The Siamese king Jai Raja had been poisoned by his concubine, Lady Si Susadan, who had committed adultery with the commoner Warawong Sathirat while the king was away leading a campaign against the kingdom of Lanna. Sudajan then placed her lover on the roll. The Thai nobility lured them outside the city on a royal procession by barge to inspect a newly discovered white elephant. After killing the usurper along with the Sudajan and their newborn daughter, they invited Prince Tian Raja to leave the monkhood and assume the role as King Mahachakrapat. With the Thais distracted by internal problems, King Anjang attacked. He seized the Siamese city of Ratchinpuri in 1549, sacking the city and making slaves of its inhabitants. Only then did he learn that the succession had been settled and that Mahachakrapat was no ruler. Anjang immediately retreated to Cambodia, taking captives with him King Mahachakrapha was furious over the unprovoked attack, but Burma had also chosen to invade through three Pagoda Pass. The Burmese army posed a much more serious threat as it captured Kanchanaburi and Suphanburi. It then appeared before Ayutthaya itself. The Thai army managed to defeat the Burmese, who quickly retreated through the pass. Mahachakrapha's thoughts then turned to Cambodia. Not only had Anjang attacked and looted Prachinpuri, turning its people into slaves, but he also refused to give Mahachakrapha a white elephant he had requested. Rejecting even this token of submission to Siam, Mahachakrapha ordered Prince Ong, the governor of Sawan-Kalok, to lead an expedition to punish Anjang and recover the Thai captives. The rival armies met, and Anjang killed Prince Ong with a lucky musket shot from an elephant's back. The leaderless Thai army fled, and Anjang allegedly captured more than 10,000 Siamese soldiers. To celebrate his great victory, King Anjang supposedly named the battleground Siem Reap, meaning the total defeat of Siam. In reality, surviving historic sources make this derivation appear unlikely, since they date the decline of Angkor to more than a century before this, when a military expedition from Ayutthaya captured and sacked Angkor Wat, which began a long period of vassal rule over Cambodia. The 1431 capture coincided with the decline of Angkor. Though the reasons behind its abandonment are not clear, they may have included environmental change and failings of the Khmer infrastructure. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, infighting among the Khmer nobility led to periodic intervention and domination by both of Cambodia's more powerful neighbors, Vietnam and Siam. Siem Reap, along with Battambang and Sisupho, major city in the northwest Cambodia, was under Siamese administration, and the province were collectively known as Inner Cambodia from 1795 until 1907, when they were ceded to French Indochina. During the 18th century, under the rule of the Ayutthaya Kingdom, it was known as Nakhon Siam, Siam City. Rediscovery of Angkor. Siem Reap was little more than a village when French explorers such as Henry Moreau rediscovered Angkor in the 19th century. However, European visitors have visited the humble ruins much earlier, including Antonio da Maddalena in 1586. In 1901, the École Francaise de Extrême Orient, French School for the Fires, began a long association with Angkor by funding an expedition into Siam to the Bayou. The EFEO took responsibility for clearing and restoring the whole site. In the same year, the first Western tourists arrived in Angkor, a total of about 200 in just 3 months. Angkor had been rescued from the jungle and was assuming its place in the modern world. With the acquisition of Angkor by the French in year 1907, following a Franco-Siamese treaty, Siem Reap began to grow. The Grand Hotel de Angkor opened in 1929, and the temples of Angkor became one of Asia's leading draws until the late 1960s, when civil war kept tourists away. In 1975, the population of Siem Reap, like all other Cambodian cities and towns, were driven into the countryside by the communist Khmer Rouge. Siem Reap's recent history is colored by the horror of the brutal Khmer Rouge regime since Pol Pot death in 1998. However, relative stability and a rejuvenated tourist industry have revived the city and province. Siem Reap now serves as a small gateway town to the World Heritage Site of Angkor Wat. In recent years, the city has regularly ranked in the top 10 for best destination lists produced by entities such as TripAdvisor, Wanderlust Magazine Travel+Leisure. Siem Reap is a cluster of small villages along the Siem Reap River. These villages were originally developed around Buddhist pagodas, which are almost evenly spaced along the river from Wat Pre and Khao Sai in the north to Wat Nom Krom in the south, where the Siem Reap River meets the Great Tonle Sap Lake. Town center is concentrated around Sivuta Street and Pasar Chak area, the old market area, where there are old colonial buildings, shopping and commercial districts. The Wat Po area is now full of guest house and restaurants, while the Pasar Bleu area is often crowded with the jewelry and handicraft shops selling such items as rubies and wood carvings. Other fast developing areas are the Airport Road and Main Road to Angkor, where a number of large hotels and resorts can be found. Tourism is a very important aspect of the economy of Siem Reap. It was estimated in 2010 that over 50% of jobs in the town were related to the tourist industry. The city has seen a massive increase in tourist attendance in the couple of decades after the end of the Khmer Rouge era, and businesses centered on tourism have flourished due to the tourist boom. Visitor numbers were negligible in the mid-1990s, but by year 2004, over 500,000 foreign visitors had arrived in Siem Reap. That year, approximately 50% of all foreign tourists in the Kingdom of Cambodia. By 2012, tourist number had reached over 2 million. Angkor Wat Temple is the central feature of the Angkor UNESCO World Heritage Site, containing the magnificent remains of the Khmer civilization. Angkor Wat's rising series of 5 towers culminates in an impressive central tower that symbolizes mythical Mount Meru. Thousands of feet of wall space are covered with intricate carving depicting scenes from the Hindu mythology. The most important are the carved bas-reliefs of the Hindu narratives. They tell a story about the gods fighting demons in order to reclaim Ardor, which can only be achieved by recovering the elixir of life known as Amrita. The gods and the demons must work together to release it and then battle to attain it. Angkor Thom is an ancient royal city built by Jayavarman VII king, the empire's famed warrior king at the end of the 12th century, and is renowned for its temples, in particularly the Bayon. Other notable sites are Bafun, Vimin Nagas, the terrace of the elephants, and the terrace of the leper king. The city can be accessed through the 5 city gates, while at each cardinal point at the Victory Gate on the eastern wall. Other temples. A number of significant temples are dotted around Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom within the Angkor Archaeological Park, including Ta Prohm, Prikhan, Banteay Kadai, Numbakang, Takao, Tasom, Ismebon, Trus, Preprap, and Nik Bin. These temples may be visited along the Grand Circuit or the Small Circuit tours. Other sites are the Rulos group of temples located to the east of Siem Reap, the Cambodia Landmark Museum and Relief Center. The Landmark Museum offers tourists and Cambodians a chance to see soft landmarks up close, understand how they work, and what they can do to help rid Cambodia and a world of their continuing threat. It is approximately 25 km north of Siem Reap, 7 km south of the Bantiae Strait Temple Complex in Angkor National Park. Some 2,000 at-risk Khmer children are educated and live along with staff at the relief center or the museum properly. War Museum Cambodia. The War Museum Cambodia covers the last 3 decades of the 20th century when the Khmer Rouge was active in Cambodia. There is a vast array of the vehicles, artillery, weaponry, and landmarks and equipment on display. The museum is making use of guides who are war veterans who fought for the Cambodian army, the Khmer Rouge, or the Vietnamese army. Angkor National Museum opened on the 12th of November 2007. The Angkor National Museum offers visitors a broader understanding of the area's archaeological treasure. The golden era of the Khmer Kingdom is presented, including the use of state-of-the-art multimedia technology. The museum covers Khmer history, civilization, and cultural heritage in 8 galleries. Today, the museum is filled with expensive jewelry being sold to the tourists. The museum is also popular among local tourists during special holidays, especially during the Khmer New Year and Christmas time. The old market or Pasajak is between the Pub Street and the Siem Reap River and offers mixtures of souvenirs for tourists and a variety of food, produce, and other items meant for the locals. Other markets in Siem Reap include the Angkor Nam Market, which is off Sivutai Street, Pasar Condor, the Central Market on Sivutai Street, which mainly caters to tourists, and Basala, the Upper Market, which is further away along the National Road number 6, but is the biggest market of Siem Reap used by the locals. The Make in Cambodia market, initially called Wild Make Cambodia, is a night market for tourists in Siem Reap where all the products sold are made in Cambodia. The market hosts daily shows and other events in King Cross. July 2020, authority issued an order banning the buying, selling, butchering of dogs for food. Artisan Angkor is a semi-public company founded in 1992, which aims to revive traditional Khmer craftsmanship and provide employment for rural artisans. It is also associated with a self-from visitor may learn about the Seri culture and weaving. It also participates in the restoration of historical Angkor sites by repairing and replacing damaged sculptures. Cambodia Culture Village opened on the 24th September 2003. The Cambodian Cultural Village assembles all the miniatures of the famous historical buildings and structures of Cambodia. There are 11 unique villages which represent different cultural heritage, local customs, and characteristics of the 21 multi-grades. Angkor Panorama Museum opened in year 2015. Angkor Panorama Museum houses a panorama mural depicted in 3D scenes from the Khmer Empire. The museum was financed and built by the North Korea, which will receive a profit for the first 10 years and half thereafter. Phnom Kulen National Park is about 48 km from Siem Reap and contains a number of the attractions such as true waterfalls and Kapan Spin River of 1,000 lingas. It is also home to Preangthom, an active 16th-century pagoda that is home to the largest reclining Buddha in Cambodia. Floating village. There are 4 floating villages around Siem Reap: Kampong Klieng, Kampong Pluk, Jongnese and Mik-Chai, home to a bird sanctuary. Kampong Kling is considered the largest and most authentic, and Jongnese is the least authentic but most visited due to its proximity to the city. Tonle Sap, Khmer for vast body of fresh water and more commonly translated as Great Lake, is a combined lake and river system of major importance to Cambodia. It is in the heart of Cambodia and is home to many floating villages. Tonle Sap is 30 minutes south of the town of Siem Reap at the port of Jongnese. The lake and its village have many unique features and attractions, making Tonle Sap tours popular with the tourists. The area around Tonle Sap, including the province of Siem Reap, is part of the greater Tonle Sap Biosphere Reserve. Nom Tais is a hill near Siem Reap, and Bantiae Serai is a town center temple. About 30 km northeast of Siem Reap, it is notable for its 5 intricate decorative carvings on the rose pink sandstone. Riceway. Traditional riceway may be made by the Cambodian household or village for their own consumption. Some are also produced commercially or inspired by this tradition. An example of the Sambai infused Cambodian liquor, Sambai, produced in Siem Reap. This beverage takes inspiration from the Srashram or Sokway that Cambodians drink traditional and the infused rooms from the island. The particularity of the bottles of Sambai is that they are hand-painted and making it attractive to tourists visiting Cambodia. The workshop and its tasting parlor installed in a traditional Khmer wooden house has become a tourist attraction in town. According to the Caribbean climate classification, Siem Reap features a tropical, wet and dry climate. The city is generally hot throughout the course of the year, with average high temperature never falling below 30 Celsius degrees in any month. Siem Reap has relatively lengthy wet season, which starts in May and ends in October. The dry season covers the remaining 6 months. The city averages approximately 1,406 mm of rainfall per year. The town is 7 km from the Siem Reap Angkor International IATA Airport is REP and is accessible by direct flights from many Asian cities and by land from the Phnom Penh capital city and the Thai border Phnom Penh. It is also accessible by boat via Tonle Sap Lake. There are also buses from Phnom Penh capital city and Pattaya city, with buses between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap taking about 6 hours. A new airport is planned 60 km from Siem Reap. It is possible to get from Bangkok to Siem Reap by Phnom Penh. The road from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap is newly paved and sealed as of the year 2013. If travelers has a taxi from Bangkok to Phnom Penh and from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap, it is possible to complete the whole journey in 6 to 10 hours, depending on the border crossing times. This journey is also possible by bus and minibus. Tickets can be bought online via the official Natakan website. Getting to Siem Reap from Bangkok is also possible by train via the Aranya Pratet station to the border with Cambodia and later via minibus or taxis to Siem Reap. Siem Reap will have high-speed ground lines to Phnom Penh that are currently in the feasibility study being conducted by CRECG. Sister cities: Myanmar, Bagan, France, Fontainebleau, Germany, Zangor, China, Jiangxi Province, Illinois, Orland Park, and Kota Aichi, Japan.